You just checked how many likes your last post got. Again. For the fourth time in an hour. Why? Because you're addicted. Not to your phone, to something far more dangerous. You're addicted to other people's opinions. And it's quietly destroying everything you could become. Nietzsche called this out 140 years ago. And his solution? It's brutal. It's uncomfortable. And it works. Welcome to Dark Truths, where we explore uncomfortable ideas that actually change your life. I'm here to share philosophy that cuts through the noise. Not motivational speeches. Not sugarcoating. Just the raw truth that creates real change. If you're ready to stop seeking approval and start becoming yourself, hit that subscribe button. I post 2 to 3 videos every week, breaking down the dangerous ideas that most people are too afraid to face. Today, how Nietzsche destroys approval seeking at its root. Let's begin. Here's what nobody tells you about seeking approval. It's not harmless. It's not just being considerate or caring what people think. It's self-betrayal. Every single time you twist yourself into a shape that pleases others, you're telling yourself a lie. Their opinion of me matters more than my opinion of myself. And here's the dark part: you've done it so many times, you don't even notice anymore. But Nietzsche noticed. And what he discovered will either liberate you or make you deeply uncomfortable. Probably both. Let's start with the diagnosis. Why do you care so much what others think? The surface answer? Oh, it's just natural. Humans are social creatures. We evolved to care about the tribe. Wrong. That's the excuse. Here's the real answer. You seek approval because you fundamentally don't trust your own judgment. You've outsourced your self-worth to other people because somewhere along the way, you decided you're not qualified to determine your own value. Think about it. From the moment you were born, you were trained to seek external validation. Good grades? Gold star. Right answer? Praise. Correct behavior? Approval. You learn that your worth isn't intrinsic, it's determined by how well you perform for others. Now you're an adult, and you're still playing the same game. Different stage, same script. Nietzsche had a term for this. He called it herd mentality. And before you get defensive, yes, he's talking about you. He's talking about me. He's talking about 95% of humanity. The herd doesn't think independently. The herd doesn't create its own values. The herd looks around, figures out what's acceptable, and molds itself accordingly. And here's the kicker. The herd feels safe, comfortable, protected. Why risk being different when being the same guarantees acceptance? Nietzsche called this the will to safety. But he contrasted it with something more powerful, the will to power. Not power over others, power over yourself. The ability to define your own values, make your own judgments, and stand alone if necessary. Most people never develop this. And that's exactly how they end up at 45, successful by every external metric, completely hollow inside. So what does approval seeking actually cost you? Because if you think it's harmless, you're not paying attention. Cost number 1, you never discover who you actually are. If you're constantly shape-shifting to match what others want, you never develop a stable core. You become a performance artist in your own life. The real you? Buried so deep you've forgotten it exists. Nietzsche wrote, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you don't struggle, you get absorbed. And one day you wake up and realize you don't have opinions, you have consensus talking points. You don't have style, you have whatever's trending. You don't have values, you have safety. Cost number 2, you attract the wrong people. When you present a curated version of yourself designed to please others, you know who shows up. People who like the fake you. And then you're trapped. You can't drop the mask because then they'll leave. So you maintain the performance forever. Nietzsche had another term for this, resentment. Resentment turned inward. You resent the people you're trying to please. You resent yourself for needing their approval. But you can't stop because you've built your entire identity on their validation. That's not connection. That's a prison. Cost number 3, you betray your potential. Every groundbreaking idea, every bold move, every authentic expression, it all gets filtered through the question, but what will they think? You had a business idea, but it seemed too risky. You wanted to create something, but it might look stupid. You knew what you needed to say, but it might offend someone. So you didn't, and you didn't, and you didn't. Nietzsche called this the spirit of gravity, the force that keeps you grounded, small, acceptable. And the tragedy? The people whose approval you're seeking, they're playing it safe too. You're being held back by people who are already held back. It's cowards managing cowards. All the way down. If you're feeling this right now, if this is hitting close to home, hit that like button. Because recognizing the problem is the first step to solving it. All right. Diagnosis complete. Costs itemized. Now, the solution. And I'm warning you right now, this isn't a quick fix. This isn't just stop caring what people think Instagram advice. This is a complete reorientation of how you relate to yourself and the world. Nietzsche's framework has 3 phases. I call them recognition, revaluation, and self-overcoming. Let's break them down. Phase 1. Recognition. You have to see the chains before you can break them. Most people are so deep in approval-seeking behavior they don't even recognize it anymore. It's just being polite or being considerate. Here's the test. For the next 48 hours, notice every time you edit what you're about to say, change your appearance based on who you're meeting, post something online, then immediately check the response. Avoid stating your real opinion, do something you don't want to do. To keep the peace, make a decision based on what looks good versus what I actually want. Nietzsche would call these your slave morality moments times. When you've subordinated your will to someone else's. Just observe. Don't judge yourself. Just see it clearly. Because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Phase 2. Revaluation. Now comes the hard part. Nietzsche talked about revaluation of all values, basically. Questioning everything you think you believe. Ask yourself, which of my values are actually mine? Which did I inherit from parents, society, peer pressure? What do I genuinely care about versus what I think I should care about? What would I do if nobody was watching? This process is uncomfortable. You might discover that half of what you call your values are just borrowed opinions you never questioned. Nietzsche wrote, "You have your way. I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist. There is no universal scorecard. There's no cosmic authority grading your choices. There's just you, deciding what matters. So decide, not based on what gets applause, based on what creates the person you actually want to become." And here's the freedom hiding in that discomfort. If values aren't absolute, you get to choose yours. You don't need permission. You don't need consensus. You need clarity about what you're building. Phase 3. Self-overcoming. This is where Nietzsche separates from every other philosopher. He didn't just want you to understand yourself, he wanted you to overcome yourself. Self-overcoming means deliberately choosing difficulty. Not difficulty for its own sake, but difficulty that forges you into something greater. The approval seeker asks, will this make me liked? The self-overcomer asks, will this make me stronger? Completely different game. Nietzsche's famous phrase, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, isn't about surviving trauma. It's about actively seeking challenges that force you to evolve. Want to stop seeking approval? Start seeking situations where approval is impossible. Post your real opinions, some people will hate them. Pursue your actual goals, some people will mock them. Draw your boundaries, some people will be offended. Every time you do the thing that risks disapproval, you prove to yourself that you can survive without it. And that's when the addiction breaks. Because here's the secret, the disapproval you're avoiding, it comes anyway. Playing it safe just means you endure disapproval without the reward of being yourself. You might as well get disapproved of for being authentic. Comment below. What's the one opinion you've been too afraid to share? Let's start building that internal authority right now. Alright, you've recognized your patterns. You've questioned your values. You're choosing challenges over comfort. Now you need to build something permanent. Internal authority. Internal authority means you become the primary judge of your own life. Not the only judge. You're not a sociopath ignoring all feedback, but the primary one. Here's the framework. 1. Define your non-negotiables. What principles won't you violate, even if everyone tells you to? What kind of person are you building, even if it's unpopular? What are you willing to be wrong about? Write these down. Literally, 3 to 5 statements maximum. This becomes your internal constitution. Nietzsche had his. Live dangerously. What is done out of love is beyond good and evil. Become who you are. What are yours? 2. Create self-referential feedback loops. Instead of asking, what will they think? Ask, is this aligned with who I'm becoming? Instead of, did I impress them? Ask, did I respect myself during that interaction? You're changing the scoreboard. You're no longer playing their game, you're playing yours. 3. Develop taste, not consensus. Nietzsche was obsessed with taste, the ability to discern quality independent of popularity. Develop opinions about art, music, ideas, people that are yours. Not borrowed, not safe, yours. When someone asks, why do you like that? And your answer is, I just do. That's taste. That's authority. When your answer is, well, everyone says it's good. That's the herd. 4. Learn to enjoy solitude. You can't develop internal authority if you're terrified of being alone. Because being alone means facing yourself without the distraction of others' opinions. Nietzsche spent years alone in the Swiss Alps. He needed that isolation to develop his own voice. You don't need yours, but you need some. Regular time with no input, no validation, no audience. Just you, deciding what you actually think. I need to be honest with you about what happens when you actually stop seeking approval. You will lose people. Not everyone, but some. The ones who like the compliant version of you. The ones who benefited from your people-pleasing. The ones who need you to stay small so they don't have to examine their own lives. They'll call it selfish. They'll say you've changed. They'll be hurt. And they're not entirely wrong. You are choosing yourself over their comfort. That is what boundaries look like from the outside. Nietzsche called this dangerous living. Not physically dangerous, psychologically dangerous. You're stepping outside the safety of the herd. But here's what you gain: yourself. Unfiltered, undiluted, unapologetic. The ability to make decisions quickly because you're not running them through a committee of imaginary judges. The energy you spent managing others' perceptions? It's yours again. All of it. The mental space consumed by what if they think, silent, clear. Available. That's the trade. Some relationships for psychological sovereignty. Comfort for authenticity. Approval for self-respect. And I'm not going to tell you it's easy. It's not. Nietzsche went insane, though probably not from this, but still. What I will tell you is this: the people worth keeping in your life. They don't want the filtered you. They want the real one. And anyone who prefers your mask to your face was never really there for you anyway. Nietzsche wrote, "The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die." As well, the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions, they cease to be mind. You're not the same person you were when you clicked on this video. You've seen something you can't unsee. The only question is, what are you going to do about it? Here's my challenge to you. For the next week, do one thing every day that risks disapproval. Just one. State your real opinion. Set a boundary. Say no. Post something authentic. Skip the event you don't want to attend. Track what happens. I guarantee you'll discover that the consequences you feared, they're not nearly as bad as the slow death of living for others. This is Dark Truths, where uncomfortable ideas become powerful tools. If this resonated, subscribe. We explore these dangerous ideas 2 to 3 times every week. Philosophy that doesn't just make you think, it makes you act. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a video, and grab the free Nietzsche self-audit guide in the description. It has the exact framework to implement everything we just covered. Next week, we're breaking down another Nietzsche concept that destroys modern weakness. You won't want to miss it. Until then, stop asking permission. Start becoming yourself. This is Dark Truths. Stay dangerous.